The problem with the refugees is we just don't know who is coming in. We'll have absolutely no idea who's coming in until they get here. The president has said we're going to take 85,000. That's more than he had already planned. If you read the State Department's own website, the State Department says it takes 12 to 18 months to vet somebody coming in on these situations. How are these guys coming in now? How are they coming in now? Now, we have a way of vetting the Christians, and it's really quite simple. If you want to know how we vet the Christians, it's this way. We go to the church in the area in Iraq or in Syria, and we go find the parish priest or the pastor, and we say, who's in the most trouble? Well, this family has already had their business burned down because they were a Christian. This family has been chased out of their house. Okay. How do you know them? Well, I baptized their 4 children. I've known this family for 25 years. They've come to this church. Before that, they came to this church. That's how we vet people. We're relying on the pastors or the priest to tell us. We're not taking anybody who, well, they just showed up. I don't really know who they are. They just joined us a couple of weeks ago. And we're not taking those people.
It's also seemingly not just like pastors we met last week who are doing this. These are people that have had long-standing relationships with the Christian community,
yes,
that are well known throughout right. Some of them decades.
Yeah, these are. I mean, for instance, one of the priests we were put in touch with through the Vatican. The Vatican, called us and said, hey, can you help us on X, Y, and Z on this parish that's having trouble getting out? Yes, of course we can. Of course we can. So it's not like, as Stu said, this is not haphazard by any stretch of the imagination. That's how you do it. You have to rely on local sources and people vetting and saying, I know who these people are. If you can't make sure you know who people are, you're not going to be able to provide charity for anybody else. If we overload our system, we can't help anybody. There is no charity if we overload our system. It's why, honestly, the rowboats, when the Titanic was going down, they pushed away from the boat because all of the people would have swamped the boats. If you want to have some survivors, you can't swamp the boats. And you have to know that the person getting into the boat doesn't have a gun and is going to blow holes in the bottom of the boat. So we know how to vet them. Now, I just want to share with you how amazing this audience is. We have had approximately 120,000 listeners give at least $100 to the Nazarene Fund. It means we're up to $12 million now raised. The first $1.5 million has just been wired over to our people in Europe. Now, where does that money go? 120,000 of our listeners. This is not something that we have advertised everywhere. This has just been on the Blaze and here. 120,000 listeners, many of them churches that have just done bake sales and everything else. That money has come in. Each family, it takes about $20,000. That's for the vetting. That's for the airfare. That is for getting their life in order. That's to set them up. That's to give them 9 months of foreign language class. So if they would ever come to America, we would set them up with 9 months of English classes. So we're not just dumping them, because what happens is if you just dump them out into a situation, they have no place to go, they don't know the culture, they don't know the language, and they end up being a drain on the welfare state. We don't want that to happen. So we set them up in a community with a church, so they have a fallback. They have some money for their apartment. We pay for their apartment for a little while. We try to set them up with a job. We get them language classes, and we just showed pictures just the other day on television of already the ones that are going to be coming out soon before Christmas. They're already getting instruction on language, and they're also already getting instruction on what customs are in that area. I can guarantee you this is not what the federal government is doing. I can guarantee you this is not what the UN is doing. So 120,000 people in our audience alone. I want you to know these numbers because they're going to say that conservatives are against the refugees, and you are so cold and so callous. No. Name another private group and organization that has raised $12 million for this. Name another one. You can't. So we care and have compassion. Not only have those 120,000 people have their name, I believe, on the Book of Life, but 12,000 of our listeners have said we will open up our homes for a refugee family. Let me say that again. They will take a family from Syria and they will open up their homes. People are saying, I don't want you coming to my state. Why would 12,000 people say, I'll take you in my home? Here's why. They know who they are. How many Christians are members of ISIS? Altogether, carry the one. Zero.
Yeah,
Zero.
None. There aren't any. There aren't any.
By the way, if you would like to add your name to this list, you can go to now.mercury1.org, now.mercury1.org, and donate to the Nazarene Fund.
That's been one of the issues since